it's fear. I don't ever want to feel like I have the past 5 years. I'm scared to death of that feeling, those emotions coming back.
Hey there, my name is Sean, and this is Suicide Noted. On this podcast, I talk with suicide attempt survivors and ideators so that we can hear their stories. Every year around the world, many millions of people try to take their own lives, and we almost never talk about it. We certainly don't talk about it enough, and when we do talk about it, when we do engage in any way, talking about it, and especially hearing others talk about it, we're not very good at it. Most of us, in fact, are quite bad at it. So one of my goals with this podcast is to have more conversations, and hopefully better conversations with survivors, in large part to help more people in more places feel a little less shitty and a little less alone. Now, if you are a suicide attempt survivor or someone who has thought or is currently thinking about suicide, I'd love to talk with you. Please reach out. hello@suicidenoted.com. You can check the show notes or the podcast description to learn more about this podcast, the various things we are doing or are trying to do. In addition to our weekly original episodes and update and or special episodes, we are working on transcribing and translating every single one of them to simply reach more people in more places. If you have an interest in helping us out with that, shoot me an email. I'd love to talk. Check out our weekly poll on Spotify. Would love your thoughts on that. And if you are an Apple Podcast person, rating and or reviewing this podcast, it helps people find it. And of course, we want more people to find it. Finally, we are talking about suicide on this podcast. My guests and I do not hold back. Please take that into account before you listen or as you listen. But I do hope you listen because there is so much to learn. Today, I am talking with Ashely. Ashely lives in Kentucky, and she is a suicide attempt survivor. Ashely, hey, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Didn't get much sleep last night, but that's okay. I think I was just anxious about today's meeting.
You're in the great state of Kentucky?
I am, yes.
You're wearing a blue shirt. Does that mean you're a University of Kentucky person?
I am a University of Kentucky fan, yeah. My husband is too. He's a big UK fan, so we watch them quite a bit. I married my high school sweetheart.
Okay. Do you still feel like he's a sweetheart?
Sometimes. It depends.
Right. Living with someone for a long time, marriage, cohabitating, it ain't all roses, is it?
Right. No, it's not. It's kind of like a make or break thing.
Yeah. I tend to go towards the break.
Yeah.
For me, I'm more of a breaker than a maker. So I appreciate you reaching out. Appreciate you talking with me.
No problem.
Sharing your stuff. And I know you were a little anxious or nervous or something, and it affected your sleep. So
I'm very high anxiety. It's kind of funny because I used to not be that way, but I guess with my career choice with EMS, it kind of made me high anxiety.
You're still doing that?
I am not. I actually switched careers completely in March. I work at the city school now.
In what role?
I'm housekeeping. So it's actually really nice because I work at night when nobody's there. I put my earbuds in, I listen to music, and I just clean the classrooms and
listen to this podcast.
Yeah, sometimes.
Say it, Ashely. I don't care if it's not true. I need it for my ego. Let's go.
No, it is true. Sometimes I do listen to this podcast.
Do you remember, we'll get into your stuff, of course, we'll kind of already have, but how did you find this?
I've been having trouble with sleep for a long time. And my husband suggested, listen to a podcast at night. It puts me to sleep, set a little 15-minute sleep timer on there.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of relaxes you a little bit, depending on what you listen to. But I just started this about 2 weeks ago, listening to podcasts. All
right.
One of the very first podcasts that popped up was Suicide Noted.
No, hang on. It doesn't just pop up.
I'm not really sure how it got on there. I didn't search for it.
Whoa. All right. So now I'm thinking that maybe, with voice stuff, you might have said something and then
possibly, yeah.
Weird shit that happens in the phone world, interwebs, wacky AI
right.
stuff.
It possibly could, because I had never looked on it before.
This is really interesting. Okay. And so you clicked on it.
I did. And the first one that I listened to, I think, was Michael from Arizona, I believe. I thought, man, this is this is nice. Like it feels nice to not feel so odd about, some of the things that have happened in my life. And so I started listening to other ones, and I had texted my husband and I said, I found this podcast that I really, really like. I'm thinking about maybe sending my story in. And he said, well, do it. It could be therapeutic for you.
I like this guy.
So I wrote my story all out. It took me about a week to write it out. And
No way. It's interesting that you did do that. And I wonder how that experience was for you to just sit down and write a lot of it on paper or on a computer.
I had to have his help because there's a lot of stuff that I have gaps in my memory from some of the things that I did, some of the pills that I took. So I had to sit down with him and, be like, what happened on this day? I remember this, but what happened leading up to this?
And does he know that you're talking with me?
He does, yes.
Do your daughters know?
No.
Your daughters know much about mom's stuff?
My daughters know that I have been depressed before because I laid in bed and slept a lot. They're still pretty young. They're 10 and 7. So
Okay.
I do plan on sharing things with them as they get age appropriate. Me and my mom don't have the greatest relationship, but we don't have the worst relationship either. So, but I don't want it to be like our relationship. I want them to be able to come to me and, let them know that I really have been in that position before.
Are you in your 30s?
I am, yeah.
You said when you were listening to the podcast, it was like a place to listen to people talk about stuff and it not feel like weird or odd.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting because that's how a lot of people feel often.
Right.
I can only speak for myself, but not that everyone's bashing you or explicitly shaming you, but you just still feel odd.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not quite right. I think that's kind of bullshit. Your life is a life and it's up and down and maybe more down than up, and that's your life. Is it odd? No.
Society has made it seem that way. That's the stigma behind it. It's wrong to have the feelings that me and so many other people have had, or to do the things that we've done, or whatever.
That's weird. That's odd. But we're weird in a way, I guess. I guess we are weird because we're talking about this and it's not a common conversation. So, well, maybe not weird, but unique.
Very unique. Yes.
That'll shave off the judgment there.
There you go. Yeah.
You had this inclination to reach out. You did. Here we are. You didn't take a long time to schedule a meeting with me. Let me get it over with. Let me get this shit done. I don't want to think about it for weeks and weeks or before.
I don't think it was that. I think it was more of like, if I don't do it quick, I might back out. I haven't really talked about it with a lot of people. There's not a lot of people that know I've hit it very well. And I know you usually ask, like, who knows that we're talking today? Really, it's just my husband that knows we're talking. Nobody else really knows, which I will end up telling my therapist, like, hey, I did a thing. It's not going to be anything new to her. She knows the story. So,
yeah. So therapist, husband.
Yeah. I've been seeing my therapist since 2019.
Wow. Okay. So 6 years living in a nice little home, or maybe not little, with a yellow wall. I like it. Am I identifying too much information here?
No, it's my parents' house, actually. I just closed on my house about 2 weeks ago. Long story short, we sold our house in 2019. We split up for a couple months and then got back together, and I bought some land and decided to pay it off before I built or whatever else on there.
You're like a straight up grown up.
Yeah. I haven't had to be very responsible in the last couple of years because I've lived with my parents. So it's been a rough couple of years, but I think we're on the up and up.
Are mom and dad not home right now?
They actually are, but they're outside doing some stuff, and he's got the kids downstairs. And
right.
I said, well, I'm going to go in this dining room and I'm going to lock the doors and don't come in for an hour and a half.
Right. So they don't know. They're like, Ashley's doing something, but they don't know that she's talking about stuff around suicide or...
No, nothing like that.
It's a tough one to share with your parents, right? Because, I mean, let's face it, and I'm not finger pointing, but there's a biological or genetic component to this usually. So it must be really hard for parents to find some peace with that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm an only child too. So there's been a lot of pressure on me from, the get-go. My mom and dad are both perfectionists. So I've kind of always had that looming over me.
No pressure, Ashley. No pressure.
Right. No pressure at all.
Were they also high school sweethearts?
They were, yes.
Does this run in your family, the high school sweetheart syndrome?
No, I don't think so. I think my parents
well, I mean, if at least one of your daughters ends up dating somebody in high school and marrying them, then we have a pattern that is definitely established
Yeah, we do.
Would it be weird for you? So your daughters are pretty young now. Are you is part of you bracing for the day where one of them comes to you and says stuff and you're like, "Holy shit, here we go." And I mean with respect to mental health.
I've already had it. Yeah.
Mm.
My 10-year-old, she deals with a lot of bullying. I actually take her to a therapist because when I started seeing those signs, I was like, okay, maybe you need to talk to somebody that isn't me. I used to be really skeptical about therapy, but now I think everybody should do it.
Right, right,
You
right.
know, everybody needs that hour once a month to just unload.
Is that all they get? Once a month?
That's all I do, and that's all my daughter does. But some people do it once a week. Some people, I did it once a week starting out.
I feel like I could use it every day.
I have those days too.
As an EMS, which I know you were doing until not that long ago, you, I imagine, dealt with people who had attempted suicide or
I did.
completed and or attempted, right?
Yes, both. You know, when I first went into EMS, I think I was probably a person that had that stigma around suicide, which is kind of funny because I attempted at such an early age. I guess I was just trying to like push it aside and be like, I don't know why people do that. But then, you know, as time went on and I started developing more as a person, I realized that not everybody has a great story. You know, some people go through some really rough times. And I think somebody said this in one of your podcasts like, they don't know how to live, but they don't know how to die either, kind of thing. Granted, there are some people out there that probably do it for not the right reasons. I don't know if there's any right reasons for it, but
Are there any wrong reasons for it?
no, there's not. I think every person and every situation is different. Some people aren't as, what's the word I'm looking for? Like,
Tough?
not really tough, but maybe they're not as blessed as I am. Not as blessed as some other people are. I really try to look at the positives of things. There's been several times that it's been rough. You know, I haven't been able to. I've really tried to, especially in the last couple months. I've really been trying to be a better all around person, a better mom, a better wife, a better daughter.
Man, that sounds like a lot of work.
It is, yes.
It's like it's easier to just not do those things, but I could see why you would want to do those things.
Sometimes it is easier, yeah.
Right. And that's context. Like you're trying to do those things and it's really hard to get out of bed.
Yeah. So one of the diagnoses I got was treatment resistant depression, which I thought there was just normal depression, you know, like I didn't realize that there were different forms of it.
That's a really challenging form of it, if you want to call it that. By definition, it is not at all or easily for sure treated.
Me and my therapist actually talked about ketamine treatments at one time,
Yeah.
but you know, I didn't want to miss work for that long, and you know, I'm a functioning depressed person
Yeah.
because, you know, I still go to work and I still take care of the kids. It's hard, but I do it, you know, and I know some people can't.
If money weren't an issue, I don't know if it is, but for many people it is, would you take off of work and do ketamine? Or is
Yeah.
the going to work also beyond money and it's just like, this is what I got to do?
If I didn't have to work, I would most definitely try the ketamine treatments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you remember when you first, and we're going back, you know, at least 2+ decades, maybe more, first started feeling like something's not quite right with me?
My very first feelings of like wanting to commit suicide was around 13. My mom says that I actually talked to her about it around
Mm.
10, but I don't have a lot of memories probably from 7 to 10. There was a lot of, you know, drinking and fighting and not in my home, but in my extended family, like with my mom's brothers and sisters, and that's who I primarily stayed with because, you know, they were always at work or whatever.
So if someone were to ask you, well, Ashley, when you were 7 to 10, and I know that the memories are blurry here, to 13 when you're talking about it, like if someone would be like, well, why? Can you answer that?
I think I just felt out of place, lonely a lot. And the loneliness has, you know, not really gotten that much better throughout the years.
Now,
I've always kind of felt like it would just be better for everybody else. I don't really know why I felt that way, but I do remember feeling that way. You know, like if I wasn't here, maybe people wouldn't fight or
then you feel that way now sometimes?
it's not as bad now. Kind of accepted certain things, you know, like it's tough, but I have to remind myself that not everything is my fault. kind of the world doesn't revolve around me, even though it's not like that. But at the same time, I've always kind of felt like the things that happen that are outside my forces, it's always been my fault. And I have to remind myself that it's not.
That sounds really, really hard because everything that's happening is my fault.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I get what you're saying because it's like the same thing going on, right? Like someone's like, everything's my fault. Most people would be like, damn, and have empathy. But you could also reframe that and be like, and you're not the center of the world.
Right.
And then people would hear that and be like, not so empathetic.
I've always been able to see things from both sides. And sometimes that's kind of a curse.
Sometimes that's the sign of an intelligent human being. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
So your teenage years are hard?
Yeah, I lost my grandmother, who was pretty much my best friend. I spent most of my summers and like the mornings with her and spring break, all that stuff. And she died suddenly, at an early age. She was 54.
Wow.
So it was really tough because, like I said, she was my best friend, and my parents came to school and told me that grandma died, and I was like, "Oh, great grandma," because she was kind of elderly, so I was kind of expecting that one, and they were like,
Right.
"No, not great grandma, grandma."
How
Yeah,
old were you then?
I was 13.
And that's when you were thinking about suicide.
I think it started soon after that because I don't really remember having those issues and up until that point. And then I was being sexually harassed on the bus. I started cutting myself to kind of deal with all that stuff. Then one day somebody saw the cuts on my arm and told a teacher. So the teacher pulls me into the room and was like, let me see your arm. We've been told that this is going on. And so I did. And, at that point, I don't even know how I didn't get sent away somewhere because her only stipulation was you have to tell your parents. I came home and it was on a Friday, and over the weekend I told them, my mom was like, "Well, do we need to get you help?" And I was like, "No, I'm fine." I don't know if I just didn't want to accept the help at that time or what the reasoning behind that was, but I didn't stop. I just started doing it in places that people couldn't see. So
That's probably how it usually goes.
yeah.
Do you think if you got help at 13 and the right kind of help, because you can get help and it's not very helpful, but you get the right kind of help, do you think the trajectory of your life is a little different?
I do. I think that if I was properly diagnosed at 13 and maybe got on some type of medication or had some type of therapy, or even if I could just talk to my parents, because I'm always scared, even now at 33, I'm scared of disappointing them.
Yeah.
And that's why it doesn't get talked about a whole lot in the household, because they don't bring it up. And then if I do bring it up, it usually turns into some sort of, fight so I just don't
Yeah.
do it.
You get the messages.
Yeah,
Let's not talk about it.
right.
So you don't talk about it.
And I
Right.
think that's the way it's kind of swept under the rug a lot with family, because we've had other family members that have, extended family members that have committed suicide or
Okay. All right.
cried or whatever. And, I can sit in a room and listen to them talk. Oh, that's so sad. I wonder what they were thinking, or I wonder this, but, nobody ever talks to me about it. And I don't
Mm.
think they know about it because my parents have kind of kept it hush hush.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty big rug.
Yeah.
That's an interesting expression. I guess it makes sense. You just sweep it under the rug. You hide it.
You hide it. Yeah.
Can't pick the rug up though, because then you see everything.
That's true.
The
Yes.
rug's got to stay there.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm hoping to maybe this is like my first step to like talking about it more. I don't know, just helping myself heal from it.
How do you get through junior high school? Because you said you went back to doing a lot of the same things.
I did, yeah. Until I met my best friend in ninth grade. And her and I had the same quirky humor, just, we hit it off right off the bat, just she actually lived about 5 minutes away from me. So she was always at my house, I was at her house, whatever, and then the loneliness kind of stopped. And then I started working. I got a little wild, especially with boys. I wasn't under my mom's heels anymore. I had freedom. I
Right.
was driving, I was working, I was making my own money. I met a guy, and kind of long story short, I didn't know how old he was because he told me one age, and then he ended up sexually assaulting me and my best friend. He roofied us. There's a lot that we don't remember, which I did not know until recently that he had roofied her as well. About a year ago, because after that night we kind of fell apart, and about a year ago, it's been on my mind for so long that I messaged her and I was like, "Hey, this is what's on my mind. I feel like maybe something happened that night that I don't know about. I feel like it's my fault, and back to that, everything's my fault kind of thing." She had messaged me back and was like, "This is what I remember. There's gaps, but yeah, basically, he put something in our drinks." And then when I broke things off, he started stalking me and I had to press charges against him. And then I found out he was a lot older than he said he was.
So when
uh,
when you reached out to your friend, years had gone by.
yes, it had been about 10 years.
And when's your first attempt?
And my first attempt was at 16. That was when I met him and all that went down. And, I was kind of young and I didn't really know what I was doing. So, I took a bunch of pills and kind of hoped that it worked. It didn't, obviously. I'm still here.
Did anybody find out about that attempt or just kind of go to
Nope.
sleep?
No, I just went to sleep. I slept for about 3 days. I mean, on and off. I'd sleep for like 16 hours and then be up for like 2 hours and sleep for another 16 hours.
When you took the pills, you wanted to die or at least something, some change, some major change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then even though the next 3 days are sounding rather groggy, you're still here. And you've heard the podcast. This comes up fairly often where it's like all the stuff is still the stuff. And you're still 16 or 17 and you're dealing with all the stuff.
Yeah. Nothing, it didn't fix anything. Nothing went away.
How do you keep going on then?
I really don't know. I think at that time, I tried to just push through. And even now to this day, for me, it's like if I have something to do, I have a reason to get up and do it. Sometimes, like before work, if I don't have, if laundry's done and the dishes are caught up and, everything's caught up, I just lay around and that always makes me feel 10 times worse. So I try to find something to do every day. That way it gives me a reason, like, oh, well, I can't lay here because I have to get up and do laundry, or I have to get up and, start packing or whatever.
I also know, probably not too long after that attempt, you meet a special man.
I do.
And then becomes your husband and the father of your 2 children. You didn't know that then, of course.
Right.
How did you meet him?
So actually, we had been going to school together since kindergarten.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. He used to not like me very much because his friend used to pick on me a little bit in like 6th and 7th grade. I had just had enough of it one day and I grabbed him and I ripped his shirt.
Damn, Ashely.
So 9th grade or 10th grade, both of us were out of gym. I had surgery and he had a knee injury. So we just started talking on the bleachers and exchanged numbers. And he chased me for about 2 years before I finally, well, he chased me for a little bit and I gave in. And our first date, he told me he loved me. And I was like, nope, not going to do this.
Whoa.
So then after that, I made him chase me for about 2 years before I finally gave in. And
So note to dudes out there, don't go with the I love you on the first date.
definitely not.
But also, even like a woman says that to a man on the first date, it's the same thing. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's a little different if you've known someone even casually for years.
Yeah.
As opposed to you just meet somewhere, but nonetheless, yeah, it's a lot.
His mom and my dad actually worked together and have worked together for like 30 years. Kind of knew of the family anyway.
I know you have the one attempt at that age. You meet him. So in the past, what is it, 15, 17 years since that
Yeah.
first attempt? Are there other attempts?
I've overdosed about 20 times.
So is this a rather regular thing, both the attempting and I assume connected to that is ideating. I think they tend to go hand in hand.
Yes. Really, it's been over the last 5 years. I got pregnant with my second child and I had some postpartum depression with the first pregnancy, but the second pregnancy was really hard. I lost about 20 pounds while I was pregnant with her because all I did was puke. I stayed really sick, really tired. The birth of her was really easy, but she had acid reflux when she was born. So for about the first year, I had to sleep sitting straight up with her on my chest, or she didn't sleep. I guess the combination of no sleep and dealing with all that, and then your hormones are crazy, and yeah. So I had postpartum depression really bad with her. Up until this point, I had never really talked about any of the stuff with the guys that I had went through. So I had just kind of pushed all of it down and not really dealt with it. So all of that kind of started coming up. And then, during my EMS career, I've seen some pretty shitty stuff. Some of those images you just hard to get out of your head. All that kind of came back up. We went to Mr. Gaddy's with the kids. It's a pizza place that has a play area in it.
Mr. Gaddy's. Okay.
Yeah, we were letting the kids play, and I was texting one of my friends and not really paying attention to my youngest daughter, and she almost fell off the carousel. My husband was pissed. He didn't say anything to me on the way home, and when he got home, he stayed outside, and I was like, I can't even be a parent right. The kids don't need me. Nobody needs me. So I took a bunch of pills, more so than I had ever taken, and a unique combination. Made a pros and cons list, why I should stay alive or why I should die. Fell asleep.
Where's the list? Do you have it?
I don't have it, no. My friend had texted me. I had sent back what I thought said I'm home, but it said nothing close to that because I was so out of it, and I was hallucinating. She knew something was wrong, so she contacted my husband, and he found me downstairs in the living room floor. And they decided to take me to the hospital. Most of the people there knew me because of my EMS career. So they took me straight back, got IVs started giving me fluids, giving me like an antidote for the pills that I took so my body couldn't absorb them anymore. Some of the questions that they have to ask you, even though they know, is, are you trying to hurt yourself?
Right.
And at that point, I was still saying no. I spent about 2 days in ICU, and then I went to a facility for like 4 or 5 days.
How was that?
Uh, it was tough. There's no privacy, and I'm usually a pretty quiet person anyway. I was just really out of my dynamic. I wanted to go home. That was my main concern, was I wanted to go home. I won't say I didn't take it seriously, because I took it seriously, but I didn't take advantage of the help that they could have offered me.
Yeah, well, when you put someone in a place like that where they're super uncomfortable, they're going to be less likely to take other things that could help. You put your walls up. It's survival.
Right.
So if I'm understanding that, from about 16 or 17 to about 10 years later, through that time, I know for part of it, you're in EMS, you have your first child, no attempts.
No attempts. Plenty of ideation, but no attempts.
Plenty of ideation. And in that
Yeah.
time, before that attempt, about 5 or so years ago, did you ever go to a doctor, like a therapist or a counselor? Or was it just like, I'm gonna white knuckle it?
I never went anywhere up until 2019. And that I started seeing my therapist in like August or September of 2019. And then I attempted November 17th for the first time in 10 years.
Oh, so you saw your therapist for the first time before you attempted.
Yes.
It wasn't like you attempted, you went into that hospital and you're like, okay, I need some kind of help. So why did you go in August of 2019 after 10 years of whatever those 10 years were?
My husband kind of pushed me to go to the doctor, to see if I could get on some medicine,
Okay.
because I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating, I wasn't.
But not talking with him or others about the ideations.
No. Mm-mm.
That you kept to yourself.
Yeah.
And then it's August, September, October, November. So you're going for 3 months. You said at first it was weekly.
Yeah.
Are you telling the doctor everything?
No.
Right.
Because I was scared of being sent away. I was scared to death of telling her that I had suicidal ideations before, because I saw in the EMS side of things that, like, you go in there and you try to talk to somebody and automatically they want to send you somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's not all the ways the best case scenario for somebody.
From my perspective, you are hitting on the head, like, one of the key essential problems with our healthcare.
Right.
And you experienced it as an EMS, but then you personally experienced it with your own therapist. You knew. And this was before you were in a hospital.
Yes.
And you turned out to be right.
Yeah. It was the right decision for me to be sent there after I attempted that first time. But, everybody's different. And some people just want to talk.
Yeah, for sure.
Some people, just want to feel heard and, valued and all those things. And they don't need to be sent away to like what I always thought of it as a jail.
It's like this just in case approach.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, there's a lot of Ashleys out there who say they want to talk, and okay, that should. But just in case, it's like okay. But the other thing is like you're sharing, and like, these are just my ideas. I'm not at all trying to suggest how you should feel or think. But you said that was the right place. But I would counter like, okay, that's the right place because there's no other places available. But I wanted
Right.
to ask you. You said you wanted to go home once you were in that place for I think 5 days, but you knew you needed help.
I did.
So what would that place have looked like or felt like or like so that you would have been like, this is the right place and I don't necessarily want to go home, or at least I want to take advantage of every single thing that's being offered here, which you said you weren't comfortable doing.
Yeah.
What was the what would have been the difference for you in terms of how it was set up?
The main difference would have been I think they sent me too soon because I was still trying to get all the meds out of my body, and the combination of the medicine that I took actually gives you memory loss. Like, I don't remember my first day there. I don't remember really being in ICU. I just know because I went back and got my hospital records just to read what they had wrote about me and, like the time that I spent there.
You said it was, I think the word was busy or chaotic, or I don't know the words you used exactly to describe that place, and that it wasn't a good fit for you. And of course, we can't build every mental health facility around specific individual people's specific
Right.
needs. That's probably not ever going to happen, but it sounds like it would have been better for you, particularly once you started to come back a little bit from the effects of the drugs,
Right.
or to be a little calmer.
The physician there made a big difference too because she was not very friendly, was not very compassionate. That was her job, and you could tell that that's what she thought of it was, this is my job. I'm here for a paycheck. That was just my first impression of her.
There's definitely doctors and nurses and other people who have a tremendous amount of compassion, but there's also probably a large number who don't.
Right. After that, I came back home and started to get kind of my bearings about me. And so that my first attempt after the 10 years was November the 17th. By December 13th and 14th, I was overdosing again.
You remember the days.
Yes.
And when was your last attempt?
About 8 months ago. I never went back to the hospital after that first time. I don't really know why. I think because I came out of the hospital being like, I feel like that made things worse. So then, like, my husband just never took me back. It became more of I say I've had, like 20 overdoses, but it became more about getting high than it
Mm.
did wanting to end my life.
Okay, so the drugs that you're using, some medications you don't get high. It would just kill you, or that's the goal. But these drugs, what were they that made you feel good?
I did a combination of Benadryl and Ativan or Klonopin. The dosage amount that I was taking of Benadryl, it actually made me hallucinate. It wired me up. I wouldn't sleep. The combination of them would make me mean. It would make me forget. I would do things and not realize that I was doing them.
Ooh, that's scary.
Yeah.
How often would that happen?
Sometimes
Yeah, right.
things would go really good for a month and I wouldn't do it, but then I'd do it like 3 days in a row, 2 days in a row, or like I did on the 13th and 14th of December.
Right. And does your husband know what's happening?
Yes.
Do your kids know what's happening?
No. They just know that mommy sleeps a lot.
Right. Okay. So you were able to sort of section yourself off.
Yeah.
This is interesting. So you say that you did it to get high, but you're also calling them suicide attempts, or some of them. What makes them a suicide attempt?
Well, because I was ideating about suicide at the time that I was doing it.
And you remember that, like, you thinking while you're high, I hope I go to sleep and don't wake up.
Right. We're kind of guessing it could be more than 20.
Right.
Because he said there's probably sometimes that he doesn't even know about. And he's probably correct on that. He said there's probably several times that he doesn't even know that I did it, or because, I would be upset, or
So you don't know how close you came to dying.
I really think the 14th was probably the closest that I've ever been. It was not a good feeling at all. I was dry, like my mouth was really dry. I had cramps all over my body.
Mm,
I couldn't pee for like 20 hours. My heart was beating. I could feel it beating irregularly.
yeah.
I felt like I was choking, and all the while I'm hallucinating.
I don't want to try to deduce this down to like one word, because I would imagine for people that are wanting to die in that scenario, you feel that way, but there's also fear.
Yeah,
Like they can
definitely.
coexist.
Yeah, yeah. I was definitely fearful on the 14th. I'm gonna die and nobody's gonna find me. And the weird part about that is I wasn't home that night. I was actually at my friend's house who happened to be an ER nurse. She knew that I was overdosing and just left me on the couch. Not really much of a friend, huh?
Probably not your friend anymore.
No, we don't speak anymore.
All that time, you're working.
Yeah.
Any sick days?
I had FMLA at one point just because when I would overdose, it would take me 2 or 3 days to get back to normal. I was taking such high amounts that it would take me a while to get it all out of my system, and even then I was, like, really foggy, like, my head, really foggy and stuff.
Who are you smiling at?
My daughter,
Oh, she hears you.
and she can see me through the glass.
Oh, but she doesn't know the details of our conversation.
Well, no, she doesn't, and she knows not to bother me, so
So the look you just gave her was, I see you, but leave me alone, sweetheart.
right, right.
That's the deal we made.
Yeah, she's my baby.
You got 2 of them.
I do, but the oldest one is completely different. She's more like my husband. She's very quiet. She's not much of a hugger, that kind of thing. But my baby is my baby. She likes to hug on me. She likes to cuddle, all that stuff.
That's a protective factor, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that'll make you wanna stick around, I would imagine. I don't wanna.
Oh yes, it does for sure.
What happens 8 months ago that even though you may not have known it at the time, you don't try again?
One of the things that happened is I decided to change careers. Another thing that happened is my relationship with my husband got better because we went through a rough patch, probably the last 4 years. And a lot of my what I call overdoses were probably based on some of the things that we had going on.
So that gets better, you stop being in EMS, you're now working at the school.
Hmm. Haven't had a thought about trying.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there also, like, a different medication?
Yes, I started taking propanolol for my anxiety, and that has helped. But I'm also bipolar, so I take medication for that, and I also have PTSD, so I take medication for that as well.
How many meds do you take a day?
I'm down to 4.
So you have PTSD, bipolar, anxiety, any other
Treatment-resistant depression.
treatment-resistant depression? You'd said that you had contemplated ketamine, but you can't right now.
Right.
I'm sure this question would be answered probably differently had I asked you a year ago, but I'm asking you now. Do you ever wish any of those attempts had worked?
I don't think so. I had a lot go on that kind of pushed me to that first attempt, but looking back, I honestly don't know why I kept trying. I had the loneliness feeling and I had some of those other feelings, but I'm finally starting to work through some of those things with my therapist. I actually do trust her now. So, like, if I have those thoughts, I can go to her and be like, "Hey, I'm having really bad thoughts today." And of course, she's going to ask, like, "Do you have a plan?" And most of the time I don't. But she also knows what my go to is.
All right, but it's a question about the pills. Do you stockpile?
I did. Yes. No more.
Sounds like you want to live.
Yeah, I do. Like I said, I haven't contemplated in, 8 months or so.
And then, and isn't it interesting? Because I think people would be surprised to hear that the podcast that you found and resonated with were conversations with suicide attempt survivors. I think a lot of people would be confused by that. They would think it's been 8 months, you're doing better, you're not thinking about it. Why would you want to listen to that? But they're not getting it. They don't get it, I don't think.
No. I don't know, like that first podcast that I listened to, it gave me hope. I'm not alone kind of thing. Like my story is still unique, but maybe it's not as bad as I always thought it was, because there's a lot of people out there that have had it worse. What I feel is worse.
And obviously, anyone hearing this might be the only episode they've ever heard or ever listened to. But yeah, some people are doing better and some aren't.
Right.
This is a good little time to ask about a pill you've never taken because it doesn't exist. You know where I'm going with this?
I do, yeah.
I'll remind the audience, I'll share with the audience, if I give Ashely this pill, she can do whatever she wants with it. But if she does ingest it, at some point, she'll go to sleep and she won't wake up. There'll be no pain throughout and no one will know it's a suicide. It'll just be that Ashely never woke up. What would you do with that pill?
Well, I'm going to surprise you with my answer because I've actually thought about this in depth.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think I would take it.
Wait a second, Ashely. Okay. I always tell people, well, not always, but often, I'm not very surprised by things I mean, I've heard a lot of stuff.
Right.
I almost pride myself on not, you're not going to shock me, but okay, this was a curveball. We've been talking for about an hour, and the last 10 or 15 minutes, we were talking about some mostly positive stuff.
Right.
Now, you could throw that thing out as some people do. You could save it as a lot of people tell me they would do, but you're going to take it. Obviously, I'm going to ask you why.
And I have an answer.
Good. I want to hear it.
It's fear. I don't ever want to feel like I have the past 5 years. I'm scared to death of that feeling, those emotions coming back.
You got me. You got me. Like, I'm not sure. I'm like, whoa, hold up. I'm almost like not tongue tied. What's the word? Like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's something I want to say or a question I want to ask, but I don't even know. Like, okay, like that's yeah. Given what you just said, it makes me think, well, then she's going to overdose again. But the difference is this works, and we know it works.
Right.
And we're adding in no pain, so you don't have to deal with all that and the unknown of it not working. And does it bother you also, or would it bother you also that people would know how you died in terms of
Right.
suicide,
Yeah.
and you don't want that to be?
Yes.
I've created the perfect question.
Right. You have really. And like I said, I've listened to a couple of the episodes, and I know you asked that question. So when I sent in my story, I really started thinking about that question. Went back and forth on it for a long time. Like, would I take it or would I not take it? There's reasons why I wouldn't want to take it because, I mean, the last 8 months of my life has been pretty decent. I've had ups and downs, of course, but they've been pretty good. But I'm scared. It's fear. And I think it's the fear and the anxiety that I have combined that makes me be like, if it was the perfect pill, I think I would take it. I don't want my kids to know if I ever got to that point again, I wouldn't want my kids to know that mommy did this to herself.
How fast would I get arrested if they found out?
If they found out what? You had a pill?
And I gave it out, I'd be arrested very quickly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You shared about or talked about some people in your life, your husband, a handful of friends, some family, you have 2 kids, and I'm sure you have coworkers or had coworkers, and a therapist. Of all of those people, and I'm sure some you didn't mention, how many of them can you talk about this stuff with? Really talk about it.
Honestly, probably just my therapist and my husband.
Can you go 100%?
I'm still probably around 80% with my therapist. Hypothetically, if I was planning something, I wouldn't go to her and be like, hey, I'm planning on doing this, because then I would get sent away.
So the 80% is the 80%. That 20% feels like, in some ways, it's more than just 20% because that's a big
Right.
part of it. Same for your husband.
No, I'm 100% with him.
Oh, really? Was that the same? Because you had mentioned about some marital problems. Is that also more recent?
That is more recent, yeah.
You all had like a serious come to Jesus, let's get this shit. If we don't work this out type thing.
Yes. Yeah, we did. I was actually pretty much told him that like it's now or never. Either we're gonna split or we're not gonna split. Because I'm not doing the back and forth thing with the kids, and I'm not, the ball was in his court. So
Yeah.
he basically chose, and he's offered to go to therapy. He's offered marriage counseling. He's offered several other things, that he's like, I'll do whatever I need to, get us back to where we used to be.
Yeah. Is it weird to imagine your life without him?
Very, yes. Not to sound cliche, but I honestly don't know how I would live without him.
You don't know what he's doing right now, but you know this guy pretty well. What's he doing right now?
Well, since my daughter came up here, he's probably fighting with her because she probably wants mama, and he's probably like, no, you can't have her right now. She told you she'll play with you after she gets done.
What are you guys going to play?
She's got me on Roblox. I'm not very good at it, and she lets me know that I'm not very good at it, but
Probably loves every moment of that.
she does, yeah. She likes it a lot. She's a very interesting child.
Are there any big myths or misconceptions you want to call bullshit on?
In general, the stigma behind mental health itself, like people see it as weak. People see it as attention seeking and all those words that go along with that. And that always kind of gets me going.
You think it's even worth having conversations with those people, or is it just like, I can't be bothered?
No, it's not. They're kind of stuck in their own mindset, which is one reason why me and my mom don't really see eye to eye about things, because since I have went through some of my things, I'm really big on mental health. She does not believe in medicine for mental health. She doesn't think I should be seeing a therapist. She doesn't think I should be taking depression medicine.
What does she think you should be doing to help yourself?
That's just what she just says. I need to help myself.
But
She
how?
never says.
But there's an assumption there that you haven't been trying to help yourself.
Right.
If you were doing other things or more things, you wouldn't need medicine. I'm not ripping on your mom. It's just, it sounds like
No, it's true. Yeah.
whether that's said or not, it's being said.
Yeah. Her thing is always, well, I was depressed at one time too, and I just snapped out of it. And I'm like,
Class.
no, you were
Yes.
probably sad.
Right.
There's a difference.
Oh man, there's a lot there, Ashley. Right. That's probably true. And also, it doesn't matter. People cope differently.
Right. Exactly.
If you're going to, not to, this is to anybody. If you want to use it as a reference point, as part of a conversation, sure. But to start comparing the judgment of, well, I did this, why can't you? It's like, stop. That's not how any of this works. It's not how it's ever worked. And it's probably never how it's going to work.
Right. I agree.
And you could flip it if you really wanted to play that game and start getting into some sort of like real debate. I don't want to do that, and it doesn't sound like you do. You could flip it easily, I'm sure, and say, all right, well, let's look at this scenario where I was able to do X, Y, Z, and you struggle. Isn't it that exhausting?
Yes. I'm exhausted enough just by trying to get out and do the things that I enjoy doing or used to enjoy doing or whatever, trying to get some kind of joy out of life. So,
Well, I was going to ask you, what do you do to get by? What do you do to cope? What brings you joy?
music. And sometimes it's not a good thing. Sometimes, I'll listen to sad country crying music, but everybody needs a good cry every now and then.
And you have a tattoo.
I have several tattoos actually.
Left arm, I see a.
It's a ribbon. It says "With pain comes strength." It's a cervical cancer ribbon because I had that when I was 19.
How did that not come up?
I don't know. We just didn't
Wow.
get there.
How many other tattoos do you have?
I have two other ones. I have a semicolon on my thigh,
Okay.
and then I have two hearts and my kids' names in my shoulder.
Memoir title?
I haven't come up with that yet.
You've thought about it?
I've thought about it. Yeah.
It's very hard to do. I mean, this is a big, big thing. You shared a lot of things that could be part of it. There was something about that rug that resonates.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't know what it's gonna
Sweeping it
be.
under the rug. Yeah.
Something about the rug resonates with me. Loneliness is a big part of all of this.
Yeah.
Much stuff we could play with for the book that may be written, because you started writing something when you said you wrote down it took you a week.
Yeah. I actually have wrote a book before.
Well, what? Wait a second.
Yeah.
Is this like a memoir type book?
I took creative writing in high school. November is National Novel Writing Month.
Oh, everything has a month.
Yes. The book that I wrote was not a memoir, but I did start on a memoir.
And how many years has it been shelved?
About 3.5.
Okay, so that's in the last few years.
Yeah.
I mean, so did it have a working title?
It was about a girl who is in a mental hospital.
It's not a memoir.
It was sort of a memoir.
Right. Because you were a girl who was for at least 5 days in a mental hospital.
Yes.
Title?
I don't think I had a title with it. I don't remember.
You don't need to have the title until the very end.
Right, exactly. That's the least important part is the title.
Right. Publishers need a title usually.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I'll finish it one day.
Yeah. Semicolon.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's probably been used a lot, but maybe we don't need words. It's just a symbol of some kind. You find that somewhat healing?
It can be therapeutic. I think the one thing that I want to get my story out there and I want to be an advocate for mental health and I want to help people not feel so alone.
Right.
But at the same time, I have this fear of what is my family going to think of me? Like I said, my mom and dad I've had a lot of pressure on me since I was little. There's issues there, but there's things that I want to do. I want to do certain things and I just haven't figured out how to do them yet.
One more question, and then you could add anything else you want. I don't always ask this. In fact, I don't typically. There's something about the way you answered the pink and purple pill question that compelled me to ask this question is, what are your thoughts, if any, about physician-assisted suicide?
Well, I've thought about that a lot too. I think it should be legal, but I think there should be a lot of stipulations behind it. You shouldn't have to be clinically diagnosed with certain things.
Okay.
And you should have to have tried certain things. You can't just go in there and be like, I don't feel good today. I want to commit suicide. It has to be documented that, hey, this person is diagnosed with X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
They've tried, therapy. They've tried pills. They've tried, ketamine treatments. They've had, whatever.
So if I'm somebody who just says, a lot of those things don't apply to me, I don't want to be here, then if I want to check out, I got to do it on my own.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem fair.
No, I know. I don't think any of this is fair, or it's hard. Like you were saying earlier, you see both sides of things, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You know where I'm going with that. Like,
yeah,
but
definitely.
if you let anybody just do that, there's all sorts of other problems.
I also think people that have non-curable diseases, once they get to a point like, oh, I have cancer and it's everywhere in my body and the doctor has given me 6 months to live. Well, I don't want to go through all this pain or whatever, then they should be able to decide that too.
And there are things that's when it does become a thing in some places now.
Right.
That type of scenario. We're much more open to that.
Yeah.
You're going to die. You're going to be in a lot of pain. You've tried almost everything. Let's step in.
Mental pain is still pain.
Well, that's the thing, right? But not everybody gets that.
No, not everybody does. I think the better part of the population doesn't get it.
Probably true.
I'm
Right.
starting to find out there's more people out there like me instead of less.
One of the weird things about something when people don't talk about it, which I get why they don't talk about it, don't know how many people are dealing with it. And so then it feeds on itself, this feeling of like, I'm the only one. It's a clusterfuck.
Yeah, it is.
What else you want to share that we may not have gotten to or I may not have asked about?
I've actually attempted with a gun before too.
Ashely, how did this not come up? The add-on on the end is cervical cancer, and I've tried with a gun. When was the gun?
2020,
Why'd you choose that method?
high off of my pills. I was just probably more upset that day than I had been, and the pills didn't seem to be working. So I went and got my gun out of my glove box, and I put what I thought was 2 bullets in it. I shot one into the ground, and then I put the gun to my head and pulled the trigger. But I only put 1 bullet in there, apparently. So
Where was this?
I was outside. Yeah,
When you shoot a gun into the ground, a bullet into the ground, people hear it.
yeah. My husband came running.
When he got there, had you already tried with the second shot?
No, I tried with the second shot in front of him.
And this was before you split?
This was, soon after, because we split in 2019. We got back together in, like, the mid-February 2020, and this was, like, March of 2020.
This was when COVID came.
Yeah.
Was that a coincidence?
Yeah, I guess so, because I don't really think COVID had anything to do with it.
Why two when one would work?
I wanted to make sure the safety was off. I'm assuming that I was hallucinating at that time, and I only put 1 in, but that's what I thought. I thought I put 2 in.
And I know it's hard because it's been several years and you were hallucinating, but why do you think you shot that first one into the ground?
Looking back on it, maybe I wanted him to try to save me or something. I don't know.
And then you put it up to your temple?
No, I put it behind my ear.
And you were ready to die.
Yeah,
And you actually did pull the trigger.
I did. It dry fired.
Do you remember what that felt like in the moments before and after?
Just thinking back now, I don't even know what I was thinking before. I was so messed up mentally. I just remember not wanting to be here and that I was finally ready to, end it for good.
How many people know about that attempt? Because guns feel different.
My husband knows. I had some family show up. I don't think they know that I tried to shoot myself, but they saw me with the gun. Several of them were like, "You need help."
You didn't get it. I know that.
No, I didn't.
Because you told me you didn't go back.
Mm-mm. It was just that one time that I went.
Wonder what your husband felt like when he saw his wife pull that trigger. There's zero judgment or you should feel a certain way. No. Just as a human experience, what's it like to see somebody do that?
He said it was a very hard image to get out of his head, and it messed with him for a long time. And it just so happened to be raining that day, so we were outside in the rain, and he was kneeling on the ground begging me not to do it. So I think he thinks about it a lot, but he hasn't really told me that.
You still got the gun?
I do have the gun. I actually have 2 guns.
You like guns?
I like to target practice.
It's pretty common in Kentucky, right?
Yes, it is. And I own 5.5 acres, so I target practice out there sometimes. I have a friend that comes over and shoots her gun with me sometimes, but I'm in a lot better place than I was at that time. So my therapist suggested maybe I do medical marijuana, but then reading up on it, I read that you had to give up your gun rights. So I will not do it because I don't want to give up my gun rights.
What's the rest of your day like? I know you're going to be playing with one of your kids.
Yeah, I'll be playing with both of the kids. My husband actually is gonna go he has a second job that he works on the weekends sometimes, so he's gonna go to work, and they have a festival going on down the road, so we're probably gonna hit that up.
Nice.
I'm sure they'll want some freeze-dried candy, so they're gonna make me spend some money, I guess.
Just living the dream.
Right. You just work to spend it anyway, right?
We're going to die.
That's true, yeah.
Whether you take your own life or it just happens naturally, we're gonna die. I mean, well, I guess there's value in having money because I don't have kids, so I don't think so much this way. If you have kids, you want to ideally in a perfect world you can leave something for them, but I don't think that way because I don't have kids. So I'm like, it doesn't matter if I die with nothing. I'm dead.
Something we do for the kids every year is we write them a letter on their birthday. I put them in a photo album with $100.
Oh wow,
That's what they're going to get on their 18th birthdays. They're going to get this photo album with, letters and money.
love it. Well, I thank you for talking with me.
Oh, I really appreciate you having me.
One last question. Well, this is a two-parter. When it comes out, do you think you'll listen to it? Also, do you think you'll share it with anybody to hear it?
I don't know if I would listen to my own or not, but I know my husband is ready to listen to it. We kind of listened to one of the episodes together, and he said, yeah, that's pretty good, And when I told him I was going to do this, he said, well, let me know because I'll listen. And I was like, okay. I mean, he knows the story, but, at the same time, I think he just wants to be like supporting me. I do think that I will probably put some bugs in some people's ear, like, hey, I found this podcast. You should check it out. Maybe not tell them that I'm on it.
That's nice because if you thought I was doing a bad job, one, you wouldn't have joined me here, and then two, you wouldn't share with people.
I really think what you're doing is great, and I hope you continue to do it.
I'm going to try.
Good.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your day at the fair and with your kids, and I appreciate you talking again.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care, Ashely.
All right. Take care. Bye.
As always, thanks so much for listening and all of your support. Special thanks to Ashely in Kentucky. Thanks, Ashely. If you are a suicide attempt survivor or ideator and you'd like to talk, I'd love to talk with you. Please reach out. hello@suicidenoted.com. Check out this week's poll. We release one every Monday when the episodes are released on Spotify. If you are an Apple podcast person, we would really appreciate a rating and or review. It really helps people find the podcast. Really appreciate all of that. Thanks. And that is all for this week's episode. Stay strong. Do the best you can. I will talk to you soon.